So some more expounding on top of or on the deadlift. There's different variations of the deadlift that we can include. I think it's also important actually to note the deadlift, when we're talking about a deadlift or any type of deadlift pattern, what we're talking about is an exercise that is dominant to the hips versus a knee dominant exercise, okay? So knee dominant exercise science world, is something like a squat, where a lot of the motion and angle of the joint occurs at the knee, whereas the deadlift, if you remember from the side views, is going to have more of an angle change within the hips. So just something to think about when you're doing your exercise programming. We always want to try to make sure that we equal the amount of hip dominant exercises to the amount of knee dominant exercises. So if you do X amount of deadlifts, we need to be doing X amount of squats. So some different forms of deadlifts or different forms of hip dominant exercises. Obviously kettlebell swings is a fantastic one, very great for that quick explosive power. But more in relationship to the deadlifts, made popular by CrossFit, the Sumo deadlift Highpull is a favorite of mine. Obviously, if you have a shoulder pathology, this is not the go-to exercise for you. But barring any significant rotator cuff issue, the Sumo deadlift Highpull is a nice variation that should be explored every now and again. So Carrie, go ahead and give us a Sumo deadlift position. So really the Sumo deadlift, you want to have your feet as wide as they can be and keep that position. You want to have your feet as wide as they can be and still allow for the knees to travel over the feet when you're in a down position. So Carrie, go ahead and grab the bar for us. And if you notice, this is the line that I'm referring to. The knee goes right over the foot. So go ahead and stand up for me, Carrie. Take a wider stance. Keep going all the way out. Keep going. Good. Now go ahead and grab the bar. Now in this position, you can see the knee is not directly over the feet, okay? So back to that normal position for me, the good position that you know. Good. So really the only difference in the setup is going to be two things. She's going to have a wide foot stance, and she's going to grip the bar with a thumbs width distance in the center of the bar. So go ahead and grab that for us. So this is going to be an explosive type movement. What she's going to do is and don't do this just yet, she's going to go ahead and perform a deadlift. At the top of the motion, she's going to shrug and then bring her elbows up to chin level. Okay? Carrie, why don't you go ahead and show us a couple of those. Good, and take a break. So important with deadlifting, with any exercise for that matter, you always want to make sure that the weight travels as close to the body as possible. Just the same with the Sumo deadlift Highpull. You want that line that we discussed earlier with the deadlift video, we want that line of the bar to pass straight across. Minimal change in the path of the bar. Okay, so that's a Sumo deadlift Highpull. Again, a Sumo deadlift, just go ahead and show a normal Sumo deadlift. Good. Is another good variation of the deadlift. Okay, this is going to work the adductors a little bit more and change the emphasis of tension. Good. Take a break. Another good variation, the Romanian deadlift. We hadn't discussed that if you're okay with going and showing that. So you're going to go ahead and grab the bar like normal, feet right underneath your hips. Good. And you're going to do a deadlift, but you're going to only perform it down to the knees. Okay? So the Romanian deadlift, she's going to go ahead and just start at the hips and then bring the bar down to the knees. This is going to take, again, a different angle, different tension lines on the body. Okay, and relax. Good. Another variation of the deadlift would be the single leg deadlift. This is good for many reasons. Anytime that we can do an exercise single legged or even single arm for that matter, we're able to clear up a lot of asymmetries within the body. Along those lines, it will point out any asymmetries that you might not have known even existed. So every now and again in a routine, or even more so, I like to go single-legged exercises. It's just a good balance for the routine. So the single leg straight leg deadlift is another good variation to add into your exercise repertoire. Good for golfers, one, for obvious reasons. So with this, the line that you're looking for is trying to keep the leg coming off the ground in line with the torso. So as she lowers, that other leg comes up. Same mechanics apply in that she wants to keep that bar in contact with her body the whole time. You can do this, you can go ahead and call that good. You can do this with unilaterally loaded, meaning kettlebell or a dumbbell in one arm, in the opposite arm. So if you're using this leg, you can go on the opposite arm or vice versa, just to change up the routine and activate different muscles.